The smartest person in the room is often the quietest one on social media. And psychological research has just proven they're not shy, they're protecting something that 99% of us are losing every single day. In a world where everyone is competing to show off, check in, take selfies, there's a group of people who are almost invisible. No profile picture, no posts, no drama. But don't rush to think they're withdrawn or lonely, because what psychology has discovered about them will make you completely rethink how you're living on social media. I have a friend, 35 years old, stable career, happy family, travels a lot, has beautiful moments that many people dream of. But if you search for his name on Facebook, you'll only find an empty account. No profile picture, no posts, not even a public friends list. The first time I asked why, he said something that made me think for a long time. I have nothing to hide. I just don't want to live my life twice, once real, once virtual. And when I started digging deeper, I realized people like him aren't the exception. They're a group of people with very special psychological traits, and today we're going to decode them together. The first thing you notice about these people is they live in the present in a very different way. Imagine you're standing before a stunning sunset. The sky is stained with orange, purple, pink, a gentle breeze, fresh air. What would most of us do? Pull out our phones, find the best angle, adjust the filter, think of a caption, post it, then check how many likes we got. Meanwhile, there are some people who just stand there and feel. They don't think, will this angle go viral? They don't worry, do I look good in the photo? They simply exist there, completely, fully. Research on mindfulness shows that people who use social media less tend to experience life much more deeply. They don't scatter their energy on recording to share. They pour everything into living and feeling. And this isn't romanticization. This is the difference between someone filming their life and someone actually living it. When you're not obsessed with having to prove you're having fun, that's when you're truly having fun. The second thing is, they have very, very clear emotional boundaries. In psychotherapy, there's a concept called differentiation of self, the ability to distinguish between me and others. Sounds simple, but very few people can actually do this. People who don't post photos usually understand very clearly what is the real me, what is the me that others want to see. And they don't let these two things get mixed up. For example, everyone around them is posting fancy travel photos, checking in at resorts, living their best life on the beach. They see this and don't feel, I have to do that too. Not because they can't afford it, but because they don't need to prove anything. They understand something very simple yet very profound. My value doesn't lie in whether I appear on other people's phone screens or not. This is the kind of quiet strength, the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout to exist, and that is the sign of someone who has matured emotionally. Next, they have extremely strong self-awareness. There's a study in psychology called self-concept clarity, the clarity of self-concept. Simply put, it's how well you understand who you are. And the results show people who share less on social media typically have much higher scores on this. They know what they want, they know what truly matters to them, and most importantly, they don't need anyone else to validate that. While many people have to wait for 100 likes to feel, I did the right thing, these people already have a very solid internal compass. They don't get swept up by trends, don't compare themselves to others. Their happiness doesn't come from others saying, wow, you're so great. It comes from the consistency between who they are and who they want to become. There's a saying, the person who doesn't need to prove anything is someone who has already proven something to themselves. And these people, that's exactly who they are. They also have what psychology calls privacy orientation, an orientation toward protecting privacy. But don't misunderstand, they're not withdrawn, not afraid, they're simply selective. Every time you post a photo, a status, you're opening the door to countless things: judgment, comments, comparison, envy, pity.
And all of those things, whether positive or negative, create noise in the mind. People who understand this choose differently. They stay silent, not because they're weak, but because they know that sometimes silence is the best way to keep the mind from being invaded. They build an internal validation system. They know they're living well. They don't need 300 likes to believe that. And that's the difference between someone who is confident and someone who needs validation. Now, let's talk about something they understand very clearly, the illusion of the digital world. There's a theory in psychology called social comparison theory. It says that humans have a tendency to automatically measure their self-worth by looking at others. And social media, it's the perfect playground for this cruel game. What you see on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is only 1% of life, the most beautiful part, the brightest part, the most carefully edited part. What about the other 99%? It's the moments of exhaustion, confusion, failure, arguments, crying, self-doubt, the things no one wants to post. And when you keep comparing your 99% reality with others' 1% illusion, you will always feel lacking. People who don't post photos understand this deeply. By keeping their lives private, they protect themselves from the endless trap of comparison. And because of this, they have what's called secure self-esteem, stable self-esteem, the kind of confidence that doesn't fluctuate with likes, doesn't collapse when someone doesn't comment, doesn't depend on attention. They choose peace over performance, and that is a very, very wise decision. One more thing is they are people with deep introspective thinking. In psychology, there's a concept called internal locus of evaluation. Sounds complicated, but the meaning is very simple. They evaluate themselves according to their own standards, not others. They think before they speak. They consider before they share. And they only post if something is truly, truly meaningful. While most of social media is superficial interactions, like, haha, wow, they prioritize authentic conversations, real connections, deep relationships. In a world full of noise, they choose purposeful silence. And sometimes, silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. But wait, I need to be honest with you about something. Not everyone who doesn't post photos is confident and stable. Some people are silent not because they're strong, but because they're afraid. Afraid of being judged, afraid of not being beautiful enough, afraid of not being successful enough, afraid no one cares. They don't post photos not because they don't need recognition, but because they're too afraid of not getting recognition. So what's the difference? Confident people are silent because they have enough. Fearful people are silent because they think they're not enough. One person chooses silence, the other is forced into silence. And this is important. If you're silent for the second reason, that's not strength. That's a sign you need support, need to talk, need to be seen. So this video isn't meant to praise not posting photos as a standard. It's just to help you understand there are people who are silent because they found peace and people who are silent because they're in pain. Recognize the difference. And now, let's talk about why many people can't stop posting even when they want to. Every time you get a like, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical that creates pleasure. Sounds good, right? But that's exactly the mechanism that makes you addicted. Behavioral psychology calls this the variable reward system, like a slot machine. You don't know which post will go viral, so you keep posting, 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 and checking, 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 an endless loop. People who escape this loop usually realize one thing. Dopamine from likes is an empty reward. It gives you instant gratification, but doesn't nourish the soul. Instead, they seek sustainable satisfaction from meaningful work, from real relationships, from personal growth. And that is true happiness. So, whether you post photos or not, there are 3 things from these people that all of us can learn. First, before posting anything, pause for a second and ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for others? If the answer is for others, maybe you need to reconsider. Second, try a week of light digital detox. You don't need to delete apps or deactivate accounts. Just don't check likes, don't post because of pressure, only share when you truly want to. Then observe how your mood changes. Third, build your own internal validation system. Every evening, write down 3 things you did well that day. Doesn't need to be big, just needs to be real. No one needs to know it, just you need to see it. And you'll find that your own recognition is more powerful than 1,000 likes. So, next time you meet someone who doesn't post photos online, don't think they're shy or isolated. Maybe they're simply more grounded, more emotionally intelligent, and more self-aware than most people. They don't need to be seen to feel recognized, and that is true confidence. If this video makes you reconsider how you're living on social media, that's exactly its purpose.
And if you want to continue decoding human psychological mysteries like this, subscribe to the channel right now. Because next week, we'll talk about why do people who apologize often turn out to be the strongest. See you there.